Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Abomination wave. We're looking today at the Build-A-Figure himself, Abomination. Yes, it took Spot 6 videos and 6 figures independently to get each component that we needed to build ourselves Abomination. The end result, though, is one fantastic looking figure. This is probably one of my more, in recent memory, of the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure figures. Of recent memory, this is probably one of my favorites. I think it would probably make like the top 5 of Marvel Legends. Or at least Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures necessarily. I think Hasbro has done just a great job on this release, and of course could not have done it true service, true justice, by having it just simply as a quick look-to figure. Wanted to shoot an entire review devoted to him. Why don't we start with his head, and then we'll kind of work our way down. Let's tilt the camera up slightly, and let's have a look at his face. Of recent memory, we don't get a lot of Abominations. We've gotten, of course, from a Marvel Legends standpoint, we've got the original Toy Biz, of course, Abomination. And we've had ourselves Marvel Select Abominations as well. But from a Marvel Legends standpoint, this is by far the best looking Abomination. I think it turned out, like I said, really good. And I don't want to sound like a broken record just saying it turned out really good. It turned out really good. But you know what? In this case, it turned out really good. The face has a more open, grimaced looking expression. It's to note as well that his eyes come across almost as a silver rather than a white. He's got a good, I want to say 3 different greens incorporated into the figure. More olive green on the outside, or at least of the chest standpoint, and olive green around aspects of his face. Then he's got a darker lime green that's on the bridge of his nose, areas around his hair, areas also around his ears. And then on top of that, he's also got then this dark green, almost a borderline brownish green on the scale work that he's got down below on his feet, as well as areas on his shoulders. As I mentioned, just alluded to in small portions when we had to look at this guy through his components. I love the scaling and all these little notches in his skin, as well as the areas that run down the sides of his arm. He's got these little notches as well. And of course, a big series of scales and just like little spikes. Hopefully you can see it there, just spikes running down the back of his, of his back. From a comic standpoint, he's got blue underoos, which doesn't seem as menacing if it was a real world character. Obviously, the movie Hulk Abomination didn't quite look like this. I hate to say I was a little sad. I wasn't sad necessarily that he didn't have blue underoos. Okay, that might look a little silly in a live action movie. But I kind of wish that his head had a little bit more looking like Abomination. He's got big claws as well. And of course the big, one of the more noted aspects of Abomination too, he's got the 2-toed feet, which has that same brown scaling that we mentioned before, also on his shoulders. He's not an overly large figure necessarily. I mean, he's more squat, more wide in his proportions. But, oh, and there goes one of his legs. But if we pair him up, let's stack him against, well, you know what, even for a scale standpoint, let's put him against Scarlet Witch that we already had a look at. Scarlet Witch obviously a lot smaller. She's a lot thinner in design. Let's maybe put him against the likes of Captain America. Again, he's not tall, but he's tall enough. He's broad. He's, like I said, he's got a good size to him. I don't know if they could use the mold again for other characters. But if they could find a way, you know, I would be all on board. I don't want to say the go-to of using it for a Hulk, but there's bound to be other characters out there that could probably make use of this same sort of mold. Maybe just tool it ever so slightly, give us different characters. Maybe a Wendigo. Like, you could give us like a Wendigo and that's obviously tool it more to fur rather than scale work. but it's a good proportioned figure. Well-rounded, I would say. If I describe this character with one word, I would say well-rounded. Let's look at through his articulation together, shall we? His head is on a ball joint, but equally as well, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a considerable hinge there as well. If you want to have him looking up, maybe Hulk is up at the top of a hill jumping down, you could have his head tilted up. These ears, by the way, I didn't touch base on it, but his ears are a soft rubber, so you don't have to worry that they would ever break off. He has the crunch in the torso as well as a swivel right where the underoos meets his tummy. The arms hinge out, full rotation there. He has a swivel on his bicep. Only a single hinge, which tends to be the case for larger figures. They don't have double hinged elbows. A rotation all the way around on his wrists, and a hinge back and forth on his hands. The legs go forward and back and out. A swivel on the area where the thigh, technically it swivels where the leg attaches to the torso when we were first building it, but it swivels there. He has a hinge, a full hinged leg, and he's also got the hinge on the foot with a substantial ankle pivot. There we go. Abomination turned out good. I guess that would be an A-OK gesture, but he turned out really good. He might make potentially my top 5 favorite Build-A-Figures. I know that's a bold statement to make. Spot's making a lot of bold statements in this series of reviews, but I think he turned out really good. Very well-rounded. Well-rounded. I keep going like this, like I'm going to actually put it in the video. I'm really not, but well-rounded. So there is your Abomination, ladies and gentlemen. As of course we always do on this channel, let's break down and have a look at all the figures that made up this wave, and I'll show you, or we'll discuss, our top 3 favorite figures. I'm sure it's to no surprise Spot's favorite figure from this wave. Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody? Yes, you in the back. Yes, that's right. That is right. My favorite figure from this wave is Scarlet Witch. It's a difficult figure to gauge because she may not be that in the same universe as the Abomination that's behind her, but if you categorize her strictly from a movie standpoint, best figure, by far, best figure. Kind of pulling our reins back a little bit more to the realm of comic themes, I would have to dare say my favorite might be Captain Britain. Now, you could label this as Spot just has a soft spot for the fact that it's Captain Britain. I like the Union Jack flag and yada, yada, yada. But really, still for me, my second favorite figure from this wave is Captain Britain. The third figure, and actually was a difficult choice, ultimately leading me to finally decide that the third favorite figure, for me at least, was Secret War Captain America. I say it was difficult because I almost picked this guy as my third favorite, but ultimately he lost in favor of Captain America. I know we get a lot of Captain Americas, but this particular Captain America really sold it for me. I love the costume. I love the throwing shield as well that Hasbro had incorporated with the figure. The figure does things very well, even though we get a lot of Captain America figures. So there's your top 3, my top 3, I should say, top 3 favorite figures from this Marvel Legends wave. And of course we have Abomination in the back there. What do you think of Abomination? Let me know down below. And as well, maybe let me know down below what you think your top 3 favorite figures were from this wave. We'll kind of compare notes. We'll just kind of jot out some notes. We'll kind of compare back and forth. And let me know which your favorite 3 figures are down below. Today's toy spot, let's move all these characters out of the way because we've already had a look at them. Don't want to steal the thunder of Abomination after all. Today we were looking at the final figure, and by virtue of that we were also looking at the Build-A-Figure. This was Abomination from, yes, you in the back, yes, the Abomination wave. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way, even though technically we've finished our reviews of this particular Marvel Legends. Certainly there is many more still to come. As always, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.